Hey, what's up guys? Hope you're all doing well, and I am finally back in the studio to shoot a new video. After a long 10 days in Taiwan, finally back here, now going to resume our usual content. So hopefully I didn't spam you guys too hard during that Computex period. There is one more thing that I actually have to show you guys from Computex, and obviously you clicked on this video, most of you know what it is. It is the Sidearm T1, and of course that name means nothing to the majority of you, but if you do like small form factor cases or even just premium ITX cases, this one is one for you to watch, because if this case does come to market, it's going to be a serious contender for pretty much the best sandwich side-by-side layout case that's out there really. So we're going to be looking at that today, and this is the first prototype that I'm showing you guys. There is a second one on the way that I will be reviewing and testing thermals and whatnot. So we will get into that, but first a quick thanks to MSI for actually sending me over to Computex. You can check out their latest X570 motherboards for gamers and creators in the link in the description. So the Sidearm T1, it's roughly a 9.5 litre case, and it's using the side-by-side sandwich layout, or what we call the sandwich layout. So you've got your motherboard and your power supply on one side, and then your GPU sort of compartment on the other side. That's connected via a riser cable, and down the middle of the case, there is what's called a spine. So that's what the motherboard bolts to, that's what the power supply mounts to, and that separates the middle of the case. The cool thing about the Sidearm T1, and it's not what any other side-by-side or any other ITX case does, is that you can actually shift that spine in the middle of the case to prioritize CPU clearance or GPU clearance. So in the stock configuration, you've got the 2-slot GPU clearance, so you can fit up to a 2-slot graphics card, and then you've got 70 mils of clearance for your CPU cooler, allowing you to run something like the Noctua L12S, which is pretty much the most powerful CPU cooler under 70 mils. Or if you want, you could run up to a 3-slot GPU. So if you shift the spine of the case over one slot, you can now accommodate up to a 3-slot graphics card with up to 315 mils of length and up to 157 mils of height. So you can fit absolute monsters in this case. I think I saw some of the photos from the first prototype where they managed to fit the EVGA for the Win 3 2080 Ti. So that's a 3-slot graphics card, an absolute chungus of a graphics card, and they managed to squeeze that in there with plenty of clearance for the power connectors. Of course, shifting the spine of the case over and allowing more clearance for the GPU is going to cut into CPU clearance. So with the 3-slot clearance for the graphics card, you're now limiting the CPU cooler clearance to 48 millimeters. So for air cooling, you can still run something like a CryoRig C7 or a C7 copper, but that 48 mils of CPU cooler height clearance, you could potentially run a 240 mil AIO. 48 mils will be enough for an AIO pump block. Now let's talk about the design of the Sidearm T1, and as you can see from the B-roll, it's very beautiful. It's a very minimal, ultra clean design, just what we love here. There's no logos at the front, there's no power button, there's no LED, there's no USB ports, minimal, there's nothing. And I'm kind of worried if it's sort of too minimal beyond practical. So for example, there's no power button, there's no power LED at the front. Is that going to worry some people? The power button is actually located at the back of the case, which personally doesn't worry me. But I'm sure some people down in the comments will have something to say about that. If you're one of those people who are bothered by not having a power button or a power LED at the front, let me know down below. Personally, I think it's worth the trade-off for that just clean front design. So the design is very similar to the Ghost S1. The only real differences in terms of the look of the case is, well, this one's a little bit smaller when you compare this one to the Ghost S1 with the medium top hat, and the edges are a bit boxier, they're not as curved, but I mean, let's be real here, it is pretty similar. I mean, that's pretty much it. The other thing is that you've potentially got the option for a 2-tone color scheme that they're teasing in the renders and sort of what you see here. I personally think it's really good. I really like that 2-tone color scheme, and it's something that really separates them from the other people, the other cases in the market rather. Otherwise, they said that they're probably going to do the silver and black as their base models and then do the 2-tone colors at a premium. We'll just see what happens. I personally am favoring the 2-tone at the moment. Alright, the other thing that makes the Sidearm T1 different from other small form factor cases on the market, or just any other case on the market, is that it's CNC'd. This case is CNC'd aluminium, and it gives the most premium feeling case that I've ever seen personally. The panels themselves are anodized, and then they've gone through sandblasting to give that sort of really premium smooth finish. The details don't matter, but they are going for sort of an Apple-like finish. So if you could imagine like the iMac or the MacBook Pros, they have that really beautiful finish. That's what they're going for in the final design, and personally I think that's perfect. No other case really achieves that. Of course, the reason that no other case has done CNC milling from an aluminium block is because it's very expensive. Like, you know, that's just the obvious thing. But we'll talk about the price in just a second. I think a lot of you guys will be a bit surprised, as I was. Now you'll notice that the prototype here doesn't have any case feet. It's just laying flat on that bottom panel, but they did say that it will be getting similar sort of round rubber shallow feet, similar to what we see with the Dan A4 and the Ghost S1. Personally, it's fine with me. Now, something that they're pretty undecided on are the side panels. And when I asked them, you know, what side panels are you going to use? Is it going to be tempered glass? Is it going to be ventilated? They honestly didn't really know. They're still sort of deciding between acrylic, tempered glass, or a full ventilated panel. So let me know your thoughts down below. What would you like to see in this case? The prototype had just plain acrylic panels, but I didn't do any filming with them because honestly they didn't look that good. Something that I will mention is that, you know, acrylic in the renders of the case look immaculate. Of course, there's no dust, there's no fingerprints, there's no scratches, so it's going to look perfect, and that's going to look like the right option to choose. But in real life, when you start working with the case, when it lives on your desk for a period of time, it's going to collect that dust and those scratches when you're building inside it. And so it's going to drastically reduce the premium look of the case. So basically what I'm asking for is the top and the bottom panel, which have those beautiful CNC'd hole punch cutouts. I'd love to see that on the side. I think that would work pretty much ideally. Now for storage, we've got up to two 2.5 inch drives, which will be positioned at the front of the case using a bracket. And you can see that there's some CNC cutouts there. Personally, I think that 2.5 inch drive support is absolutely fine given how cheap they are these days. I mean, 2.5 inch SSDs are incredibly cheap. Even 1 terabyte, 500 gigabyte models, that's more than enough for most people. All right, now let's talk about 240mm AIO support. So yes, this will be the smallest case to accommodate a 240mm AIO. As far as I know, it's under 10 liters. However, you will only be able to use a full-sized fan at the front underneath the power supply. The little fan slot underneath the motherboard, there is a small sort of clearance gap there for a slim fan. The prototype actually didn't have a slim fan in that position. I'm not sure if that means that the final model won't be able to accommodate it, or if the design has changed. But from what we can see so far, you can use a standard 240mm AIO with a full-size fan at the front and a slim fan at the back. Or if you wanted to do a custom loop with a 120mm AIO, you could use like a really high performance 120mm radiator up to 30mm thick, and then you could use a 25mm fan. So that's doable at the front. So in terms of thermal performance, that's really gonna put this case between the Dan A4 with the 92mm AIO and the NCase M1 with the 240mm AIO. I am expecting the Sidearm T1 obviously to be closer to the NCase, but it's not going to have the same airflow performance as the NCase because the NCase is a larger case and you can fit more fans in it overall. All right, so that's most of what you need to know about the Sidearm T1. Now let's talk about the pricing and availability. So in learning that it was a fully CNC'd aluminium case, I was both excited and scared at the same time. Excited because this is going to be one of the most premium cases on the market, and that excites me, but also kind of scared because I know it's going to cost a lot. And when they said that it was going to sort of cost around NCase M1 to Dan A4 levels, I was honestly pretty surprised and honestly relieved, because those are two popular cases that people are happy to purchase. One thing that is very, very, very important to note though is that, we have to control the hype. As nice as this case is, as beautiful as it is, and how cool the features are, and as much as I would love to have that sitting on my desk, and I know I'll probably receive a review sample, I have to control the hype, because when I filmed the Chimera Mac 1, which was also last year at Computex, and when I made a video of the DanCase C4 SFX, those are both two cases that should have released last year, and they didn't. And so the purpose of this video isn't sort of to hype everyone up and get excited about this case, although it is very exciting. it is a very real possibility that this could not see production, as much as that sucks. They also said that the release date really depends on how the second prototype goes. So if the second prototype needs a lot of changes, it might be delayed until next year. If the second prototype is production ready, then we could see a case by the end of the year. Now, they also had another product that they were showing off, which is pretty exciting. It's a Ddc Pump Block for a CPU. So essentially it's a CPU water cooling block with a Ddc pump attached. With this pump block, you can both cool the CPU and you've got a pump that will run, you know, the entire loop. The only other competitor to that on the market is this. It's the SwiftTech Apogee Drive 2. Some of you might know this one. I'll be doing a video on this quite soon. So you can see the Ddc pump at the top with the heatsink attached. So they're basically building a competitor to this, and I think that's awesome, because if you want to build a custom loop in an M1 or a Ghost S1, you don't really have room for a pump or a reservoir or whatnot. So that's pretty awesome. But of course, the prototype that they were showing off was a really early prototype. They did say that you could basically pick and choose what Ddc pump you wanted to add to it as well in terms of performance. So again, for that one as well, we probably could see that towards the end of the year. And again, that product alongside this one will give people the option to do a full custom water cooling loop in their small form factor cases. All right, so that is the Sidearm T1 preview. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If there are any things that you do not like about the case or that you do like, please leave those in the comments as well. They would love some feedback on the direction of the case. In my opinion, the prototype that they showed off, despite being prototype 1, was very impressive for first prototype. All the tolerances looked good. It fit really well. I was able to take the panels off, switch them around and put them on without any hassle. The only real production thing that needs to be taken care of now is the side panels and where they go with that. They're gonna go ventilated, they're gonna go with acrylic. So that'll be interesting to see where they go with that as well. As always guys, a huge thanks for watching. Consider subscribing down below if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one.